What's up? Semen retention, crippling nervousness will cause men to isolate themselves. Now, before I get into the video, I got a Discord community where we talk about semen retention and internal confidence. I really want to build a connection, speak with guys over the phone, group calls and stuff, do something as interactive and as in person as possible, just to really build a connection with everybody, get to know other guys, and really build each other up and just be a community and build each other up as men. So if you want to join that, the link for that will be in the comments of this video, the description of this video. You click on my channel and the bio section, you'll see the link for the Discord right there. So go and check that out. Back to the video. Now, I think nervousness, man, is something where it's gonna only have negative effects. I think when it comes to how you carry yourself, if you're nervous in how you carry yourself, I think that's one thing that is a sure way to always be hesitant towards talking with somebody, or you always avoid like social interactions. I feel like I've seen that in myself, and it's a thing where you can see people who we obviously know that nervousness is not something that necessarily is always like, it's not always coming from something. I believe everybody does have a natural amount of, nerves and stuff like that, nervousness sometimes, and it's a natural amount where it's like it's never gonna stop you from doing whatever it is that you're doing. I think the crippling nervousness you get from how you carry yourself and all that, I believe that comes from, habits, stuff you're doing behind closed doors, something you may be doing to yourself or doing in general. All that stuff come back and it lingers on you. And it's the energy that you walk with, especially when you consistently do something that makes you feel bad about yourself. That's one of the sure ways to be always hesitant and nervous around people, and you're scared of social interaction and all that type of stuff. I'm just one of those guys that really am understanding that nervousness, man, that's something that's gonna make your life worse. It, like, especially the nervousness that I'm talking about that comes from unnatural habits, and it comes from dysfunctional behavior, and stuff like, you know, um watching the websites, masturbation and stuff like that, um being promiscuous, being sexually immoral in general. That's something that eats your soul, and I know I've said that many times before, but that's the number one thing and the number one negative effect. Like, it really hits your internal character. You get what I mean? It really affects how you carry yourself, and especially how you feel about yourself, and I think we live in a generation nowadays where nothing is in a way where, like, I feel like you see less stable families nowadays. You see more of baby mama here, baby daddy there, like the family be broken up apart, and I think a part of that is due to and especially it's a lot of men with no kids, with no family, that's an even, I think, a bigger thing, I would say. And I really would say that's because of men who can't control themselves sexually. And we live in a whole generation where they're gonna profit off of a man not being able to control himself sexually. And a lot of men get themselves in just weird things, and that's something that can cause a man to isolate himself and cause a man to, just really become weird and evil, you know. And I think that's something that we gotta push against, and that in a perfect world where if every man could control his sexual energy, just imagine how the world would look. Imagine how better your own individual life would be. Imagine, the healthier relationships you would have with, women and people in general, And so I'm really understanding that at the end of the day, man, you can't walk with scariness in you. You can't walk and be scared of being yourself. That's the number one thing not to do when it comes to just enjoying your life. When you don't carry yourself with confidence, you know, to me, your internal confidence is like the foundation of which you can enjoy your life, you can have a life that you want to have. And I think that it's so many men out there who think it's all about money. They think it's all about a girl. They think it's all about materialistic things. I think it's all about impressing somebody, when really the internal confidence is kind of the source at which people find you attractive. People like you for who you are. You like yourself for who you are. You get what I mean? You really want to you're really doing things based off of how you look at stuff, and it's not always a personality where you always are looking at somebody else for something, or you're the person that's like you're drawing from yourself, and you're not trying to draw from anybody else and being like anybody else. Obviously it's people out there that you can admire and look up to, but I think when it comes to carrying yourself, you have to have your own personal thing to that, and I think that that's the important part, and that's the thing that so many men don't think about. And this is why a lot of us have a weak identity. So we isolate ourselves because we're scared and we're nervous, we're shy, we're fearful, we're passive, and that's something we really have to really get away from, man. I think that at the end of the day, bro, your habits and all, your how you treat yourself, how you treat yourself, that's going to be the number one thing that's going to boost your internal confidence, because you got to think about it, bro. It comes back to that at the end of the day. When you treat yourself bad, you feel bad. When you treat yourself good, you feel good. And I think that's the thing that I've really had to understand, and it's just as simple as that. Growing up, I masturbated, I did stuff like that, stuff that I know long term was gonna have consequences, and in the short term it was gonna have consequences, but it was just blinded by the meaningless pleasure, you know. And when you do stuff like that, everybody know, like every guy know, after you do stuff like masturbation and watching porn, you have that guilt feeling, you feel bad, but that stays on you. When you keep doing that stuff consistently, that will stay on you, and that's something that will just turn you into a man that's not himself anymore, and you become way more wary and scared of doing things in your life and being yourself in life. And that's the number one thing to which I feel as though that man can have $1 million. That man can have everything in life, but he won't be able to enjoy it because he don't even like himself. You get what I'm saying? He don't even like himself. He's scared of being himself. He has a weak identity. He's not sure of himself, and that's why he could get so many things in life. I think if you don't have internal confidence, it's not really much you can enjoy and much you can enjoy in life. So yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got to say. I do have a GoFundMe I made for my auntie with her journey overcoming cancer and stuff. She needs help financially and everything. If you want to support that GoFundMe, the link will be in the comments of this video. And if you click on my channel in the bio section, you'll see the two links, the Discord link, and then you'll see the GoFundMe link. Check that out. I appreciate anybody who chooses to support that. Peace out.